Hello there, Medicine here. As you can see, in my last video, we did the Miniverse Make It Lord of the Rings, and it failed fantastically. But I feel like I learned a lot in that video, so I actually have two Lord of the Rings mysteries here. And we're going to give it a go again. We're going to try and see if we can make it work this time. I feel like I learned a lot from that last video. I've also been doing UV resin a little bit more, so I know a little bit more tips and tricks and things. So I'm going to really attempt to make it work this time. Also, I did get these. They're on sale for like $2 and less than $2.50. So both of these combined was less than $5. I usually find the Miniverse Make It Mini kits under $5, and that's what I usually buy them. I don't spend full price for these ever, just as a little heads up, because when you can find them on sale, they are amazing, and I love them for dolls. They work really great for doll props, but I'm going to see if we can figure this out. So we're going to go ahead and give this one a go. We've got two here. We're going to do both of these. And I've got a new setup here, so I'm trying to see if I can make this work in frame. A little bit more in frame for you guys. This is you can see Let's Resin. This is a silicone mat. It's black. Not sure how good that's going to go for being able to see everything, but it is what it is. My white one is currently like totally in use. Whoa! Ooh! Well, that's cool looking. So this is a new, so this is different. My other one came in this packaging, the Elven. It does have the one ring around it like the other one did, which is why my scissors didn't really like getting through there. So let's try from this side. These are little nail scissors. They're really great for crafts. These ones I only use for my crafting. They came in one of those little nail kits. We're just gonna go from this. We're gonna try to cut right through here because it's not one to cut through that Lord of the ring section. There we go. There we go. Wow. Now, I will admit it's been a very long time since I've seen the Lord of the Rings movies. I was in high school when they came out. They were a really big deal back then. That's so sleek. That's so neat looking. All right, ready? Ooh. Oh, this is cool. So this is probably our mold. Oh my gosh, this is cool. Oh, wow. So, love this. I love this. So we've got some swords. In the stand, this piece is right here. Okay. So notice the stand detail. It's kind of like see-through, almost crystal-y. Are these the Ghost Warriors? Bro, it's been so long, I don't recall. Okay, so we did get a pipette. Now, last time I kept it really long. This time I'm gonna trim it to fit whatever mold we got. So we're gonna try that. Our extra instructions, what we could get, and the cool stuff here. So let's see what we have. Last time this was an anvil. So it does have another map inside. It does have another map piece in there. I feel like this map is different from our last map. And we do have our anvil. It's a little bit different shape. A little different shaped anvil than our elf one. A little different shaped hammer. It's a little more basic looking. Not as cute. I don't think that's as cute. It's more basic. And this is our sandpaper. Like our sandpaper. So we do know what that is. So that's cute. This is our resin. And our thing. So there's no This time we don't have any mica powder, so that's might actually be a good thing. Let's cut into this. Let's see what our mold looks like. Wow. It's so... Oh, that's upside down. Okay. So it goes in like that. They tried to make the mold have that same design as what the sword is going to be. But I'm concerned because you can see again with this mold that these big flaps are kind of here. And last time I ran into trouble, this is very thick. Look how you can see, this is very thick. I ran into trouble getting the UV light in there. So I might try to do it more from the sides with the lamp, if I can fit it under the lamp. But we will see. So alright, let's see what this actually is. Alright, Make It Mini Lord of the Rings. We have the Morgul knife. This shows it very dark, like a very black color. So I wonder if the resin is black. That's the end result. So, yeah, so it could have been the Morgul knife or the Uruk-hai sword. I don't know if I'm saying any of those right. Forgive me. Witch King longsword. So, pretty sure we're dealing with the opposing forces. Okay, so let's just see what we do. Okay, so I will say, the one thing that I did learn last time, this is showing the pipette attaching it to the resin. You gotta cut this pipette down so that it fits in there. So that's one of the things we're gonna do a little bit differently than last time. So let's put that there. Let's get this open. Yeah, see, every time, it is black. See that? So the resin itself is a colored resin, which also has me a little nervous because the color resins also can be a little bit different. All right, so I'm definitely gonna cut it down from here because there's something wrong with this anyways. So let's see. That gets down to the bottom. Okay, that's a good size. I can't tell if you guys can see what I'm seeing, so I probably could have cut this too. Oh, I guess I should have warmed up the bottle. We're in Florida. It's warm. Oh, wow, yeah, that's black. Can y'all see that? So the resin itself is colored. You can definitely see it filling up inside the mold better. So I think too what happened last time is that when I was squeezing the pipette to get it in there, I think I was also sucking up, because when you let go it sucks it back up. So I think between squeezing and sucking that I put the air bubbles in there with the pipette. So kind of almost I don't know if you need the pipette. Like maybe to get down to the very bottom. Here, let me set that down. Alright, so we got it in there. And I'm squeezing it to kind of pull the air bubbles up. It's very thin too. That's the other thing. This is a very thin project. There's an air bubble down at the bottom. See, because it's colored, you can see into the mold a lot better. So I can already see that there's some air bubbles down at the very bottom. We want to get all of that out. If you had a hot air gun, if you had a heat gun, you could nuke it with a heat gun. That would help too. So I'm pushing it. Trying to get that bubble. Come on, get up. Get up to the top. Oh, see, that would have been a big problem. Look, there's a big... This is all the stuff with that last one because it was clear resin. There was no way I would have even known. All right, you know what? I think I'm going to remove the pipette. Ooh, not the whole thing, just the pipette. I'm going to leave that here because I can... Hold on. Tap, 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 tap. Squeeze. Squeeze the juice. Squeeze the juice. Pull. Squeeze. Pull. It's not getting down in there either. I might have to put the pipette back on. So let's use our pipette here. See if we can pop some of the air bubbles with this. Yeah, that helped. Alright. You see how that kind of popped that air bubble? Put that right back where it was. Another thing is to gently kind of squish it. Just trying to release the air that's built up in there, because there is air in there. Again, because you can see it, it's much better this time, because I can actually, I got that big air bubble good. Okay, I think that's good. Alright, let's take a look. Let's see. I think that looks like it's pretty solid all the way through. I'm not seeing any more air bubbles in the base or anything, so we're going to add a little bit more at the top here. Okay. I want to make sure it's all the way full before I stick the handlebars. It's a bicycle. The hilt of the sword. On the top as I tap it, so I'm hoping those are bubbles coming up from the bottom. I am still very concerned about the shape and the lack of transparency, I guess, in this mold. It just seems very opaque. I'm not sure if the UV is going to get all the way through. But yeah, okay. I do still see some bubbles at the top here. I don't know what's going on with that. Look at the details on that. Looks great. I think I did everything I could as far as troubleshooting with this. I think we did good, much better this time with the mold. So let's pop this guy in. Whoa! Got some spillage because I overfilled it. Let me grab my wipes. You want to keep some alcohol wipes nearby when you are doing UV resin. It's perfect for cleaning up any spills. Okay, so I'm happy with that. I'm gonna pop it. I'm going to pop it in the UV light under the UV lamp and see what we get. And again, this is supposed to be like an hour. How long does it say? Yeah, this is supposed to stay in the sun for an hour, just like our last one. So it's a very like crazy thing. So I got my UV lamp on the side here. I'm just going to pop it under there at the highest light. And then I'm going to take my wipe and clean up everything. Next, let's see what our other one is. This one says new, so I don't know if that means new to Lord of the Rings or if it's new, like a new, like version of these. Oh, this one, oh, this one's green. Okay, so this was a black container. The green was Elf. So the containers themselves might actually reveal a little hint of what's inside. Okay, we saw how the other one was. Moment of truth. Get my scissors. So I definitely think this is going to be from the elf realm. Yeah, we got our elf symbols. Oh, wow! Oh, oh, there's multiples. Oh, these aren't even packaged. What is going on? These were all complete. So the elf ones are, see, the other ones were like this too. Oh, here. They're like kind of at an angle. I wonder if that's on purpose. Is this double swords? Is this the double swords? I feel like it kind of gave it away. It didn't have like one of those little boxes. Oh, here's our mica powder because it's gonna be elf, and elf themes are always shiny. It's so shiny. And then you got your map. So this is probably the same map as our other elf dagger. And then your elf anvil sword and stuff, which I'm not even going to take out of here because guess what? We don't use this anyways. But you can see the difference between the elf and the like wraith, like the, I don't know what they're called. I'm sorry. Apologies, y'all. I'm sure there's a lot of really cool lore in this packaging. You can tell that there's a lot of attention to details. A little pipette, which we will definitely cut down to size. We learned our lesson. We got, it's going to be double swords, right? We got the white knives. That's cool. So what's unique about this is that it wants you to put the mica powder in first and give it a good shake. Then attach that. Again, we got to cut the pipette down to size to fit inside of our mold, and do not release when you pull it up because it sucks in and makes bubbles. So that was something I learned. And then you do this twice. And it also says 60 minutes in the sun. So they know that these take a long time. Ooh, this is supposed to have like some cool design on the actual knife. Okay, let's see. Let's give it a whirl. So this is much smaller, like our dagger one, which I kind of wish I had kept it, and I apologize that I did not. I got so frustrated with it. The Morgul knife. Alright, so we're going to have to trim this down because it's definitely way too long. So maybe we'll cut it. Let's see. Cut it like right around here. That's fine. That should work. Yeah, that's much better. Okay, so we cut that down. That's a big step one. Now, I don't know how we're going to make 2 of these. I feel like that's asking for a lot because you have to wait for the first one to finish. It's not like they gave you 2 molds. You have to finish one before you do a second one. And I don't know if this is enough mica powder for 2 of these. But also the mica powder already is getting everywhere. Oh, let me get my wipes. I'm gonna cut both sides of this. See, these little cuticle knives are awesome. Alright, I'm gonna set that down. Oh my gosh, that's so much mica powder. Just gently. Just gonna gently wipe that off on there. Alright, now remember last time we had some struggles with the mica powder, so I'm not sure how I want to actually do this. I think I'm gonna do less. Like instead of 2 spoons, ew, how do you even get them in there? This is, well, the spoon is adorable. It's definitely doll-sized. Alright, we're going to do like a very small. I don't know how it thinks that's even, look, that just went everywhere. Oh my god, that did nothing but just make a disaster. Okay, we're just going to put that out of the way. It's everywhere. You can't see it because of the angle of my video, but this did not get where it's supposed to go. Okay, let's, the mica powder is probably not good. What they should do, I know that they want it because it makes it like silvery and shiny and like beautiful, but I don't know, I feel like maybe Maybe it should be in the, like maybe it should be a silver resin instead. I don't know, y'all. I just find it very frustrating. The resin is, oh! The resin is black? Why is it black? What? Why is this resin black? Yeah, this is this resin. Okay. Are these supposed to be black? Let me see. Oh, they do have like a little bit of a black to it. Okay. Yeah, they do have a bit of a dark. All right, well that's actually good because with the other sword that we just did, the black really helps see it going into the thingy. I'm gonna actually use this to kind of see if we can spread around some of that mica powder. I'm using our little pipette here to kind of fill in the mica powder too. You can see it coming off of there. So the resin itself does have a tint to it, which is very helpful. Yeah, that's much better. Oh, look, we just popped a bubble out. All right, here, let me tap it. I apologize for the in and out setting on this. Maybe I should turn the auto setting off. The autofocus off. Okay. Alright, let's see. There's some air bubbles in there. Let's see if we can pop them. See, now that it's like a gray color, you can see it. That's so much better. So I can see the air bubbles. See, there's a big air bubble right there because the resin itself has a tint to it. So you can see where we filled in. So let's squeeze it, try to get those air bubbles up to the top. Again, if you had a heat gun, I do not own a heat gun. I probably need to buy one. A heat gun would do wonders because you could just kind of, the heat helps release the bubbles. Look, there's a bubble at the top. Oh no, did I get it? Shoot, don't tell me it went back in there. Okay, I'm just poking into the, oh, jeez, you can't see anything that I'm doing. I'm poking in to get the bubbles that are in the, can you see those bubbles? It's very hard to see them, but there are some bubbles and I'm seeing them, so I'm just kind of trying to use the pipette to poke them. But I'm not sure if it's actually helping. I feel like it's just kind of pushing them deeper in. There we go. There we go. Pop it. Don't make another bubble. Pop the bubble. There it goes. There we go. Pop. There we go. Pop. Don't know that this is an effective way to do this, but you see how the bubbles are coming up? I'm just gently squeezing the mold. I'm going to do this until I don't see any more bubbles come up. Oh, do you know what? I just noticed. I don't know if you can tell. There are little designs on the sides of this mold. Can you see it? Like little flourishes. That's so cute. Honestly, the attention to detail that they put into these is just astounding. I'm always very impressed by it. It's just getting the project to work is the problem. There's still this one bubble that's being very stubborn. Okay, tap, 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 tap. squeeze the juice. All right, I think we are pretty good. Yeah, I'm not seeing any more buzz. Well, I spoke too soon. This is very tedious. I almost think you have to overfill this. It takes way more resin than I realized. Like, I didn't realize how much resin it actually takes to fill these. Like, this still can have more resin going in there. That's crazy. It's not even filled up all the way. Alright, let's give it a good look. Okay, I don't see any noticeable air bubbles. I see like the gray all the way through. When I squeeze it, I'm not seeing any more bubbles at the top. Try to squeeze it this way so it fills in all the pockets. Yeah, I'm not seeing any more bubbles at the top. I'm going to put a little tiny bit more resin in here. I'm waiting for the resin to kind of go to the tip of this before I stick it in. Okay. So I did put a little extra resin in the top here. And that's because I want to make sure we secure our little hilt to this thing. Just giving it a few more presses, making sure there aren't any bubbles anywhere that we don't know about, and that it's gotten all the way down. I do see a bubble that keeps popping up. Okay, let's go ahead and give this a go. How does it go in there? You just stick it in? Does it have to go in a certain way? Okay, so the curve of the knife goes this way and the handle goes this way. So that's it. And you're supposed to hammer it with the hammer, but we don't need to do all that. And then we're going to wipe away the extra resin at the top here. And then we're going to come back tomorrow and see how they did after being in the sun and under the UV lamp. So stay tuned. Okay, so I said I would be back tomorrow, but I accidentally started messing with this and I already saw the air kind of releasing this. So I'm just going to gently pull this apart because I already accidentally did that to kind of loosen the sword. So I'm just gently grabbing the sides and pulling it away. And then gently to try to release it. Ah! Holy crap! Ready? Holy crap! We did it! It worked! That looks so cool! Look at that! That turned out amazing! Yeah! Yay! The Morgul knife was a success. I want to attribute the success to the fact that the resin is darker. You can even see, I don't know if you can see, there's a like little etching in the middle here. You see that? I'm going to try to turn it like that goes straight down the knife. I like how with the resin it kind of swirled and gave it like this almost like ethereal effect. See how the like, it's like a slightly opaque black because UV resin, even colored UV resin, has to have like opacity for the UV rays and the UV light to get all the way through to cure it. It does feel a little sticky with my gloves, so we will put this under the UV lamp for a little bit more, for like, I don't know, I think maybe like 2 minutes should be fine on each side. But with my UV lamp and going much slower, taking our time and making sure we got all the air bubbles out, this was a much better project. I don't think this is beginner level. I was beginner level the last time I did this, which was actually, I know the video was only uploaded a few weeks ago, but like I did it months ago. So I'm gonna pop this back under the light, the UV light, to make sure to get all that sticky off. And I am truly impressed. I can't wait to see how the white knives turn out. So be back when I check on those. Ho-ho. Alright, so I put together the little stand here. It's kind of, there we go. Kind of works for the Morgul knife. This was a huge success. The Morgul knife turned out really good. Okay, good. It seems like that stickiness has gone away too. It feels a little bit tacky. I don't really know why. It really does. Ooh, yeah, that still feels tacky. I don't know why this isn't curing all of the way. I put it in the sun for several hours. It's been under the UV lamp for a while. So that makes me suspicious, because usually if it's still kind of tacky, it's a sign of it not being cured all the way. So I'm concerned about that, because then that means it still is not, it's not safe to play with when it's still not cured. But it does look great, and it did come out of the mold. So that's a positive. I think what I might do, because I've seen a trick where you put a clear cup of water and you put the UV resin in the water and then put it in the UV rays, and then that kind of helps just really magnify the UV rays so that it gets to the resin a little bit more. So we'll try that. But otherwise, that turned out pretty good. Now let's see if our white knife can be removed from here. I'm a little bit concerned. I also noticed the other time that it was still kind of tacky. See, this it's not as flexible as the other one, so I was trying to kind of gently pull the, the mold away from the resin to kind of get some air to help it release better. But it's not really doing what I want it to do, so we're just going to try to give it a tug. Gently tug. Okay, I think it's kind of coming out. Uh-oh, did it crack? Oh, it did crack. There's an air bubble right there. Okay. This is so strange. I'm trying really careful to be... Ew! Oh, that's sticky! Oh, it's really sticky. Okay. Well, there you have that. Okay. So it did come out. It is... I can tell it's still sticky. It does have like a bit of a pattern to it. It's very thin. The concept is cool. It's almost there. I'm going to throw it under the UV light. I'm not even going to touch that because the handle is sticky. the mica powder, I went really less is more with the mica powder. I don't even know if it's really on there at all, but I definitely, you could probably brush the mica powder on now since it's still tacky. My biggest concern is this here, this big giant gaping hole. Now what I can do is I can fill that with the resin on my silicone mat and put it under the UV light, which I might do just to kind of secure that. But I feel like that looks, yeah, I guess it looks the way it's supposed to. It's a very thin knife. I kind of wish there was better pictures of these because you don't really have like a good detailed image to compare it to. Like, that's very small. Alright, so I will pop this under the light. It's still very sticky and tacky, so it's not cured all the way. And I don't know, I feel very complicated. I feel, again, so maybe it's just that these maybe the elven knives and swords and daggers and stuff just aren't as good because the resin's a little bit more see-through. And you can't tell if there's holes in there or not. But we will give this one more go. I won't record the whole process, but I'll do it again and see if I can get the second one. Now the other thing I will say, I'll set that down, is that these pipette bags, these pipette things, are a one-time use and you only get one in this. And even this, the elf thing, oh my hands are sticky. The elf thing is supposed to be for 2 separate things, but this, like, I mean, I went ahead and hardened that resin so that it wouldn't be, unless I have a way to kind of clean this out and use it again, it's really hard to do it a second time with that pipette. I'm not sure how good these little tubes would do either, but we'll give it a go and see what we can do, because I really want to see if I can get this to work. So, overall, it is successful. It can be a success. I still think that either the resin is not good because it's not curing all the way, even in direct sunlight. It's still sticky, or the molds are too thick. I think it's a combination of both of those with these. I do also think that these kits are not beginner friendly. I think these are more for advanced UV resin users. That's my overall review. The first time I did this, I was not as good. I was still very new to using UV resin, so definitely made a lot of mistakes. I definitely feel like this time was much more successful because we do have a full complete swords or knives or whatever you want to call them. We do have complete products. They just aren't, like, I don't usually, my resin's never sticky like this. When I make my UV resin stuff, it's never sticky. I do notice sometimes with these bigger, thicker molds from the Miniverse packs that they do need extra time in sunlight or UV light after removing, because I did this. This is a Miniverse Make It Mini Lifestyles vase. It's great now. It feels amazing. It's really cute. My kid and I did this. And this turned out great. It was in a really cool mold. And it did have the mica powder also, but you turned the mold inside out and brushed the mica powder on. Let me see if I have the mold here. So this was the mold that this was made in. See, there's no little like wings on it. It's just, and with this you actually folded it inside out, brushed the mica powder on the inside. Why is this not focusing? You folded it inside out, brushed the mica powder on with a brush, and then it hardened into this. And even after it hardened and I left it in the window for a while, it was still sticky when it came out of the mold, even this one. So I did put it back in the window. So I have noticed with these mini-verse, I say all that to say that I've noticed with all of these mini-verse mini-series is that they do need a little bit more time in the UV light than it mentions in the instructions, and after they're removed from the mold, they do need additional UV light to finish curing. So I don't know if it's just the molds are too thick, or that may be something else with their resin. I'm not sure what is the deal with this. I'm not that knowledgeable on this, but I am disappointed that these are so sticky, that this is still sticky even after being in the sun, like direct sun, for hours. I don't really know what the answer is for why that is, and again, like I said, I'm not sure the exact remedy for it at this point, besides more sunlight until it stops being sticky. Which I did that with something else I made. I just left it for days in the window and just let it until it was fully cured. So that is possible, it just might need more. I will try to make the second knife of this. I'm not sure if there's enough resin in here. I do find that the colored resin worked a lot better. That's what made this more successful, because I could see the bubbles better. But even then, I still, you know, have an issue here with that hole at the top. That was definitely a bubble. That's what happens when you have bubbles in your mold. But there's no way of seeing that. There was no way. This is so small, you can't even see. And it would, that bubble would have been right here. Right where that, not only does it right where this, like, notch is. I don't know if you guys can even see that. There's like this little ring around. See that? That's where the bubble was. But you wouldn't have seen it because these wings were blocking it. So it's very hard to see inside this mold to see if there's bubbles. This mold for the Make It Lifestyle series is much easier to see and to get the bubbles out. It's more flexible. These are not very flexible and they're thin. So I think that makes it a little bit more unforgiving for mistakes. Like if there are bubbles in these bigger molds, it will still turn out good. Like I can't tell if there's bubbles in this. But even if there were, like, it's not going to affect the end result. Whereas for these, because they're so skinny and thin and delicate, one bubble right there, if that bubble was further down, if this bubble was anywhere down in the lower parts of this sword, it would have fallen apart, which is what happened with my first attempt at these Lord of the Rings kits. So those are my suggestions. I will try to get the second knife because it's supposed to have enough for 2. And then I'll catch you back if that's successful or not. And then I'll do some final pictures. If it's unsuccessful, then thank you so much for watching. I hope this helps for the people who were thinking about this kit but saw my fail video. I hope this helps you. If you did get this kit, maybe it's given you some solutions before you make it. Otherwise, the mini-verse kits are usually really fun and they're usually really successful. Like these turn out, they're really super cute. I do think they put a lot of love and attention to details that, you know, like there's elf scripts on the side here, elf scripts on side, like in the actual mold. Like those are such really cool details that they put into their packaging designs. It's just a matter of user error, and also I think it could be a little bit of design flaws in the original designs. So I hope this does help if you do attempt to do these Lord of the Rings minis. Don't be afraid of them, especially if you can catch them on sale. Like I said, I got this kit, these 2 sets for only $5, like less than $5. I don't know that I would spend full price for them because the results are so varied that I don't know if I would spend full price. But that's my experience with these now. I've done 3 of them and the issues are the same. I did try to troubleshoot as best as I could, but those issues just continue to exist. So thanks so much for watching. I hope this helps you if you're thinking about, you know, making these yourself. And stay tuned for more. All right, we are back. It's a day later. So I did end up, oops, sorry. After being in the window for hours and hours, the stickiness has finally kind of gone away. I ended up filling in that hole with just plain resin, the extra resin from this set. You can actually, when I did that, you can see the difference of the resin without the mica powder, and this is the with the mica powder. So I do think that's really interesting to kind of see how the resin is really like a opaque kind of grayish color, like, but the mica powder gives it that fine silver. For this is the white knife, for the elf white knife that had that air bubble. So I just kind of popped a little, like filled in that bubble with the resin and stuck it back under the lamp and then stuck it in the window, and it's finally, that stickiness is finally gone. It took hours to get that stickiness. The Morgul knife looks freaking amazing. It looks so good, and also stickiness is finally gone. After being in the window for several hours. It was very sticky. Now it feels kind of, it does still kind of have like a, I don't know, not quite tacky. It's just, it's a very different feel than like the rest of it. And I don't know, usually resin is like plasticky after it's done. It has a more plastic feel. But yeah, it looks really cool. I like how the resin for this Morgul knife has like kind of a, like a swirling pattern in it. It just looks really neat. And that doesn't have any kind of mica powder or anything. That is just the dark blackish resin. So that turned out really cool. The stands work pretty good as it falls off of it. Kind of good. Alright, so I did try to make another one of the white knives. And what I did is the hack is, remember I said that these pipettes are like a one-time use? Well, I trimmed it. I cut it down to where it was still able to get into the mold, like into the mold. And then I took a toothpick. I trimmed it to where it was big enough for a toothpick, and I took the toothpick and stuck it in and popped the resin out of it. Like, I hardened the resin in under the UV lamp so it's hard. And what's interesting, and I will say this too, this is the resin out of the pipette, and it was only under the UV lamp. I didn't put it in the window or anything. It is not sticky at all. So something in the mold makes these sticky, because this in the pipette got perfectly hard and not sticky. And I don't know, like it looks kind of like a thing. So that's how I did that. So I cut off because it was too skinny, and then I used this to push it in like that, and it popped that extra resin out. This is actually great because this pipette can be continuously used because that hole is actually still there, even with the hardened resin in there. So I can actually use this again if I wanted to make more of these swords, because you do need the pipette to get into these resin molds, because otherwise it just doesn't work. Alright, so moment of truth. We're going to try to unmold the second white knife. Like I did before, I'm going to try to let some air in there. It's really, there we go. Okay, it's really sealed up tight at the top. Okay, there we go. We're letting in some air to try to loosen it from the mold before we go to grab it. Okay, let's see. It feels sticky already. It feels sticky. I should be wearing gloves. Alright, here we go. Ready? It's very hard to pull out of here. Okay. Okay, so I was able to make a second white knife. It's still having that problem. Look. It didn't fill it in all the way. So there's some kind of issue with the air bubbles here in that mold, because it's, look, that's kind of where our air bubble was before. That's very sticky. The whole thing is sticky. So, but I did make two. This one's not as white. I didn't use very much mica powder. I didn't have a very good success getting that mica powder in there, but you can see the difference between the resin without the mica powder and with it. So overall, it's still pretty finicky. With any of these Lord of the Ring kits and some of the other Miniverse kits, it does require extra UV time, whether that's under a UV lamp or in the actual sun. Also, like, it's kind of like a weird, I don't know, it's weird. But there you have it. I was somehow able to make two white knives and a Morgul knife. I don't think it's very beginner friendly. I do think that you have to go very slow and use a lot of tips and techniques that maybe somebody who's getting into UV resin for the first time, this is not a good kit. And if you have children, like if you're working with a younger kid, I wouldn't do this kit with them. I definitely think this is for adults who have a lot more patience. Can you do it? You can. You can do it. Just use all the tips and tricks that we went over in this video. Use your pipette, put it down slowly, make sure you get all the bubbles out, squeeze it, get the bubbles out, do everything you can. If you have a heat gun, that might work because it can help kind of get the bubbles out with the heat. I do not have a heat gun. I probably should get one. But yeah, it's kind of a success. I mean, out of 10, I would give it 5, maybe 3. I did feel like this went a lot better. I do like how, I think I like this Morgul knife a lot. I really like how this turned out. I really love how this particular knife turned out. I think it looks really cool. It did help that the resin was colored instead of clear. I think that made a big difference because I was able to see that there were air bubbles, and even though I could still see, I still missed the air bubbles that were in this because it's so skinny, you couldn't see. The air bubbles at the top is where we had a problem because you can't see that. So I do think there's a reason why these kits are only like $3 and under $3. They're just not as successful. So if you do try it, do use all the tips and tricks that we went over today in this video to have a more successful results. Otherwise, skip it. Skip this one. Miniverse makes so many really cool kits that do work really well. Some that I'm very happy with, others that are kind of mediocre. I will be doing more Miniverse kits here because I find a lot of them on sale. For any time I find them under $5, I grab a couple, and I have more on the way. So I just a little bit obsessed with the Miniverse UV resin. And I'm finding some cool things to do with the packaging because they come in all these packaging things. So I'm actually looking into some ways to repurpose some of the packaging, and I'll show a video of that soon as well. So thanks so much for watching. Hopefully this helps you find success if you do get these Lord of the Rings kits, and maybe you'll be more successful than me. If you have other tips and tricks, or you try the ones that are in this video and they were successful for you, let me know in the comments, and I look forward to more videos in the future. Until next time, bye!